Listen to my heart, listen to it sing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations from the Heart. I'm your host, Victoria Regan, and my guests will share the joy and challenges of their journey, as well as give tribute to people, partnerships, and the persistence it took to become the success that they are. I hope you enjoy.
Listen to my heart.
Hello again, and welcome to Conversations from the Heart. My guest today is a former U.S. Latin finalist, organizer, and entrepreneur. We all know him very well, Mr. Wayne ENG. Hi, Wayne. How are you?
Hey, good morning. It's good to see you.
I am very excited to know all about your life story and just hope that you're going to have as much fun as I know I will.
Well, I think I will because you're bringing me back what I call the memory lane, all the way from the time that I was born. So, okay, as you know, I immigrated from Hong Kong and moved to the USA 6 years at the age of 6. My parents escaped from China, live in Hong Kong, and the reason they wanted to take the family to US because they were concerned about the Hong Kong if it wasn't be taken over by China. We flew here in 1965, and thanks to President Kennedy, he amended the immigration law that allowed us to get into the United States. We tried twice and we couldn't get in. We were about the last family. My grandparents, my uncles and aunts were all in the United States. We flew into San Francisco. I never forget it. I was only 6 years old. Well, being on the plane, I never forget it because as a kid, you know how time is eternity. I'm on that plane probably 15 hours and it felt like years. And I never forget it. And I lost my cross on the plane and my mom got real mad at me. But hey, I was only 6 years old. So we arrived in San Francisco and my uncle would pick us up in a station wagon. He owned a restaurant. That was our first stop before our destination was New York City. So we got in his car, and the thing I will never forget is the Golden Gate Bridge. Oh, imagine landing in the United States. From the airport, he goes through the Golden Gate Bridge. As a kid, I just remember sitting back and looking out the window. What is this bridge? We were there for an hour car ride, and it was Sebastopol, California, near Sonoma County, Napa Valley, wine country. And we ended up staying there because my uncle taught my dad into working for him as a chef. And that's the beginning of my childhood in America.
So the biggest influence at that time as a child, you would say, were your parents?
I would say the biggest influence were my parents. Especially now, as years went by, I admire them for their courage to bring a family to America. My mom didn't speak English. My dad spoke limited English. Gave up an established business in Hong Kong that sold eventually later. He wasn't part of it, but he built it. Sold for millions and millions. He gave that up to be a chef working at $5.50 an hour in 1965. The fortunate thing was, I guess he saved enough money. He did buy a small house for our family and everything. And I just admire how he worked 7 days a week. He had one day off, but he would work probably 14, 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
His influence is that he showed me courage, working hard, and be fearless. And I never forget my first day in kindergarten, walking in. I didn't speak English, and I was just sitting there. And in Sebastopol, being Asian Chinese, I mean, you can count them on your hands. The city was a population of 20,000. So I look around, they didn't look like me. My friends aren't here. And I just cried. My my eyes just went everywhere for 5-10 minutes. And I'm just thinking the shock of those kids looking at me. They probably haven't seen a Chinese person either. But the teacher was amazing. She was amazing, and she helped me quiet me down. And what's interesting, there's a few of those kids in that, my classmates, that I still connect with today on Facebook. I remember my uncle dropped me off, and you know, when you don't want to go, he's trying to push me along. Come on. And I was saying, no. But anyway, it all worked out. And you know what it's like when you're 6, 7 years old, kids are kids, and kids play with everybody. There's no prejudice. There's no assumption who you are. So that was the good news.
Well, I think I remember you saying you played sports in school also. Tell us how that affected you and developed your spirit.
I remember growing up, I played sports, and so if you play sports and you know what that's like when you're in junior high, high school, you become more likable. I remember when I was first introduced to football, American football. Now keep in mind, I don't know sports. So I played flag football, and I was introduced to it. And I remember they gave me the ball. I kept running because I was so scared that they were running after me. And you know, you have boundaries, right?
Yeah.
I kept going. And they were saying, wait. We have a football field, and this is how we play. I kept running, and they finally waved me back.
So you started sports in middle school, right? When you were 4th to 6th grade, is that what you said?
Right. They just say because sometimes after school I stayed there and played tackle football. Actually, at the age of 9, 10, 11, I couldn't, and I had some older kids, and I think that's how I got really fast. Because I did not want to get tackled. Because when they came at me, they just ripped me down. It was just a game. It wasn't on purpose. But I think that fear just got me going.
Any major teachers then that were influential in your life?
Besides in kindergarten, I mean, I will say the principal was very nice to me. I remember that. But going into junior high, and junior high is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade where we were. There was a teacher named, I shouldn't mention his name, but he was a big influence because he took me in and gave me a lot more confidence. And he was a teacher that always took 3, 4 kids in, and he would bring us to baseball games, hockey, and everything. And he was also the athletic director at that time. But I remember he took me to the baseball game, Oakland A's. So we would drive and we would see a lot of games. During that time, if you're a baseball fan, the Oakland A's won the World Series back to back, 3 years in a row. And he took us, 3, 4 of us, to every playoff game and every World Series game. So that was a great memory because we would go together and we were on the way home. Side story, we would stop at Denny's and eat. My favorite dish was spaghetti, and there was a drive-in movie, okay? So when we go in, we would fight where we would sit because we wanted to see the drive-in movie because once in a while it was rated R.
Yes.
And so, being a little kid, hey, look at that movie. R.
So the teacher told you were hot-headed, correct? And yet you would still be very successful. And so how have you calmed down since then? Because it seems like your exterior is actually very calm.
And maybe eventually when we talk later, maybe I'm thinking that dancing might help calm it. And then later on in life, I took yoga, meditation. Well, going back, when I was I started meditation at age 17. I think that was the biggest thing. Okay. Meditation helped me calm myself. And I remember at that time, believe it or not, I meditated almost every day. I can still remember going to work at a restaurant. I would be there 30 minutes early because I wanted 20 minutes in my car meditating. And I remember the staff at the restaurant would say, "What the hell are you sitting in your car for 20 minutes for?"
So at that time, you worked for your father in the restaurant. Is that right? When you were 16 and 17?
And obviously at the restaurant, I work as a dishwasher, busboy, cashier, waiter, and a chef.
How things change.
Yes. Oh, wow. Well, I've been in restaurant business since I was 11 years old, starting as a busboy. I worked in Mexican restaurant. My favorite was a French restaurant because I love eating, and that boss, bless his heart, I could eat anything I want. It didn't matter, filet, lobster, trout, escargot, shrimp scampi, chocolate mousse. I had the key. He gave me the key. I was there till 2 a.m.
So that's when you actually started learning about entrepreneurship. Because I know you told me the story that you helped your father sell the house once he opened the restaurant, and you started working for them and you started getting interested in real estate.
So working in the restaurant, I got to know people. I met another person you talk about. His name was Richard Melber. He was a customer that came into the restaurant, ate 2-3 times a week. He was 65, 70, just lost his wife. And we got to know each other, and he wanted to sell his house. That what kind of motivated me to get my real estate license quickly. I just studied for 4 weeks straight. I remember with the book, just read it, passed the test, and I was able to list his house, put it on the market, and that's how my real estate got started.
So he was a big influence. Richard was a big influence in your life.
Oh yeah, in many ways.
In many ways.
Leading up, actually, he took ballroom dance lessons at the dance studio, and he asked me to go to a guest party, which I didn't really want to go, but for business reasons, I did it for him. I was at a guest party, signed up for the $25 special, and at that time, I went to watch Saturday Night Fever. John Travolta, and I'd say, I want to be like him because he dances, he goes to nightclubs, he gets all the girls. Yeah. So during the lessons, I told the teacher, I want to learn hustle. She taught me the hustle. I continue on for 15, 20 lessons with the hustle. And it was some of the best time. 4 or 5 nights, I would go out to disco clubs and dance till 2, 3 a.m. And that was really nice. And then she taught me, my ballroom teacher taught me some rumba, some cha-cha, and then I got hooked on it.
So did you meet Donna at that time?
No.
No.
Did not. It's only later we talk about it. Yeah, and of course I met Donna at the studio, but that was after a year and a half as a student teacher. I was on what they call double honors program, and it was expensive too, but I bought the program. But you know what? I enjoyed being a student. I remember working at the restaurant. I couldn't wait to get out Friday night from my dad's restaurant as early as I can to go to the Friday night party. It was so much joy dancing there. And of course, when you go to a dance party at studios, sometimes afterwards, you go to a club and dance afterwards. I did the lessons. I went to Pro-Am competitions, regional trophy ball, national championship, and I just got motivated. My hero, another person, I would say, Cher Rutherford, Randy and Cher, dancing the rhythm out there, and the theater arts. And besides, she was hot. Now, this is before I met Donna.
That's
so
right.
I remember seeing her on the floor and saying, whoa, I was a student at that time. I would love to date her, but I would love to dance like him with her more than anything. And that just motivated me to take more lessons and became better. And then eventually I became a teacher at the studio and taught for a year and a half. And that is where Donna entered the scene. Donna got the free training. She entered the app. We didn't hit it off at first, but she thought that I had ego. I thought I was too good. Because I guess when I was dancing, I would look at the mirror.
Yeah,
you know how when we practice, we look at the mirror, and I kept looking at the mirror. And she said, oh my God, you think you're so good.
You must have done something to change her mind. So what was that?
I don't think I changed my mind. It was the
Her
supervisor.
mind, I mean,
Her mind, Jerry Blinken. Jerry said, okay, you know how we have meetings. This Friday night party, Donna and Wayne, you're dancing the waltz. And we look at each other like, okay. So we practice the waltz, we dance at Friday night, and you know how you demonstrate, everyone say, you two look lovely together, you look great. And then we say, oh, we do. And then that's how we kind of started connecting. And then we started practicing a little bit more together during dance session because teachers get training every day. So we started dancing with each other more. But I had another partner too. So I had two other partners. I wasn't decided who, but I was taking private lessons with Carol Montez. She was with Ron Montez, for those of you who do not remember.
Of course,
before Ron danced with Liz Curtis, he danced with Carol Montez, was the West Coast champion for many years, probably would become US champion if they stayed together. But Carol took me under her wings, taught me private lessons at Victor Drew's studio in Hollywood, California. I would drive up there and Carol said, we got to get you a partner and get you out there and do professional competitions. I took my first partner there. She said, no, she's not right for you. Took my second partner there, better, but not right for you. I took Donna there, went back to the studio. Within 5 minutes, she called me on the landline. The secretary said, Miss Carol Montez on the phone, pick up the phone. Her words were, she said, keep her, don't lose her, bring her back. Click. And that was the beginning.
Now we can move into partnerships. So Donna was your first partner, is that right?
Yeah, well, I was right,
and
that with the dancing, of course, the romance started and everything. That's how the story began.
So you married for the dancing first and then love, or did you marry for love and the dancing?
Yes, we marry not because for dancing, we marry because you fall in love, and I think we see it that people marry for the dancing, and then after they stop dancing, then they separate.
They look at each other and they go.
Right.
Most influential coach, I know you had mentioned Carol Montez was the first coach with you and Donna, Nina Hunt. But your most influential coach would be whom?
We've seen a lot of coaches and they were all good. They were all good. Just on the top of my head, I remember Espen Salbert was a great influencer. He came to the US to our studio many times. But then again, if I just name Mick Studiano, we had him a lot. We used to have Robert Ritchie come in a lot. But if I come back to the USA quickly, Ryan and Liz coaches us a lot. I feel that Vernon Brock, whom I don't think a lot of today's dancers know, Vernon was the one that really created the Latin, went to Blackpool and really changed the way the Latin is. Vernon fought with Linda Dean. Unfortunately, Vernon passed sooner than we wish. He was a great coach. He gave Donna and I a lot of confidence, and we resonated with his teaching. I think I resonated with him. I believe that if he was still around longer, he could shape me into a much better dancer. Donna was able to relate to many coaches, okay? She had more talent, so maybe that's why. I was more, I was a learner. I was not natural. Nothing was natural. And sometimes I overthink. I remember even a coach once say to me, I won't name it, he said, Wayne, do you really like dancing? I mean, during the lesson, like, do you really like doing this? And I say, probably not as much as Donna, but I like competing, which is the wrong reason.
Yeah.
To dance to compete. You dance because you love it, to be in the moment. I also want to mention Patrick Johnson, who came to my studio in Torrance a lot. And he was influential in everything. He was very disappointed when Donna was pregnant. It's when, at that time, we were really knocking in the top 3. But then Donna was pregnant, and he was very disappointed when, during the time we had the studio in Torrance.
But it was not a disappointment to you when you stopped dancing, right? You were okay with that?
Absolutely, I was. Yeah, it was on for the next chapter. And I didn't want to, for us, we decided not to dance for another 10 more years just because of family. We wanted a family too. So it was a decision. If we keep dancing, we didn't want to have a family during the dancing. And I really admire the couples that have kids, raise a family, and can still dance and work and give the time to their kids. I really say you're amazing to those couples.